Hi, and welcome back to Study with Me. Today, I have got an interesting topic which is about corruption and where does it take place. I have three different scenes presented in front of you. You have to listen and tell me, does it really connect to the topic that we are speaking about today? In the first scene, you can see a friend is asking her other friend who is good at studies to do her homework. In return, she will gift her her video game station. And in the second scene, there is a police officer who finds a man not obeying the traffic signal, and he tells this person to come and view the camera and tells his picture has been captured and he has to pay a fine. In return to this, the person who has been caught, he tells, do you know who am I am a government official, and he just goes away. In the third scene, you can see there is an advocate who has a case against his client. Now, what happens in this scene is the judge, who is the verdict maker here, he knows him because he's a school friend. Just before the case verdict starts in the court, he goes and meets the judge and tells him to solve the issue. What does the judge do in this scene? He just oversees the different evidences which he get, and at the end it is in the favor of the person who commits the crime. So all these three scenes, it helps us or it makes us think, is it okay to do it? So that's what we are going to see in today's chapter. What is it? Corruption is something that can be done in both private and public sector. As per all the three scenes that we have discussed, you can see the corruption is being taking place both in the public as well as the private sectors. If you talk about the private sector, here one friend is who's getting the help of the other in in return for a video game is done in the private sector, whereas you can tell it's a very small thing, it's a gift that a friend is giving. If you see in a public sector where the person doesn't obey the police official and goes, or the scene between the judge and the advocate is very serious. So we'll discuss about it. So how does this act actually impacts the society? It is an act by which inequality, injustice, and poverty can arise in a state of government, and this will hinder the sustainable development of the people. So, what has great visionary team heads told about it? If you talk about Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan, he is the most important person who is visionary in in his act. So he tells corruption is a big disgrace that does not serve the nation. It is not good for the nation. It is a contagious disease, contagious that spreads, and it must be eradicated. It must be taken away, and no one should be silent about it. We have to deal with corruption and prevent it because we do not wish to have among us those afflicted. Afflicted here means affected with an illness. He tells it corruption as an illness, and it pollutes the entire nation. So, what is power? And who does this corruption? Generally, it is told that people who have power do this. So, what is power? It is an ability to influence someone or something to change an event or an action. So, can really a power influence corruption? Power is generally called as a positive term, but if it takes you to the act of a contagious disease as told by Sheikh Zayed, if it is taking into that diversion, then it is negative and it needs to be taken care, it needs to be checked. So what is it? It is an unethical or dishonest act. So what can you tell as corruption? It is an unethical, something that is not coming according to the ethics, and it is an dishonest action of an individual, and they can abuse their power for personal gain. So corruptions can be divided into two. One is petty and the other one is grand. If you talk about the scene one where two friends tell, you do this in favor, I will give you something. So this is a petty corruption which happens, many scenes like this happens on a regular basis, and it might involve many people at all phases of life. Whereas if you see the grand corruption, this is something which needs an immediate action because it is done by few number of people, but the adversity is at a huge scale. Like if you see the advocate telling his judge who is a friend to just oversee is something very dangerous, and then the other person who tells the police officer, I could not pay the fine, and then shows his power and go, is again a, a very bad thing, and it can affect it to a larger extent. But where does this act take place? It is something that happens at all phases of life, as we have seen. So it can happen from the most important phase like health care, sports, international relationship, politics, justice, business, even it doesn't leave charity and education. So this was all about the corruption and where does it take place. Now what you have to think what are the unethical behavior, how it can be stopped, and what are the steps that you need to do in both public and private sector in order to save yourself and the nation from being affected by corruption. If you want to learn more, then put a comment in the description box about what is the next topic that you want to learn. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Thank you and happy learning.